certain situations that could be problematic are controlled, and this is why then we have this collaboration with the police, etc. But at the same time, children to know what is going on. I mean, one of the main issues that we have been highlighting is that the use of the internet should not be secluded to the child's room where the parents will not be able to see what is going on, but it should be in a central position in the home. But at the same time, we have to strike this balance between telling the parents of what there could be out there, but at the same time, giving them the comfort and the confidence of allowing their children to develop the particular aspect that also needs to be addressed and educated upon. Now, we have highlighted in my presentation that we need to be working with parents, educating them, working with teachers, and also, because they have the role of educating them, and then also of educating the whole people who fall within their remit. Thank you.
Manager for InHub. And InHub is the International Association of Internet Hotlines. Now, I know a number of people in the room, and quite a number of them know exactly what hotlines do. But now, it's going to be that, one, I want you to, understand what a hotline is, what its purpose is, how it operates, how, as a network, we've developed, and then basically to follow the theme of my whole presentation, it's about what have we learned. One of the things we try and do is try to make sure that we don't try and get hotlines as they create to reinvent the wheel. We want to go all the way. The coffee break follows us directly right now, so I'll use the motto: stand up, speak up, and I'll shut up. Okay. So just quickly, this is our mission. I'm not going to read all of it. I'm not a little bit of an agenda. Okay. So I'm going to cover what is hotline, or what is info, and then the distinction of what is a hotline, how does it operate, what does it achieve, what tools do we have, and obviously there's a lot of time today to go through all of that properly, but statistics, what I mean, statistics are everything, especially we call them now. Each with a deep interest in internet safety and how we're going to deal with reports of illegal content of what's going on. It's grown to now, thankfully, we now have 41 members in 36 countries. And I'd like to take this up live and know you're back. All right, so I'd like to take that opportunity to welcome back. I know Catherine has done an awful lot of work, in the background, trying to make sure everything works, and her team, from Deborah and Bernadette and Carmel, who I spent most of this morning with. And then basically, if you want more information, you can go to our website. I won't worry you with any more. But I just want to show you. There we go. Okay, a couple of goals. We have a couple of things. One, to combat sexual abuse and other illegal material at the national level. And to mention, I know John alluded to the different international agreements, etc. We try and exert as much influence as we possibly can. And again, it's just to make people aware of what we do. And with the assistance to the European Commission, there will be the name body we work through, which is a global database. And I'll talk about statistics and I'll show you some samples. We also work with other stakeholders in developing strategies, because nobody can do anything on their own. Hotlines can't operate on their own. Okay? Awareness organizations just can't work on their own. By working together, they get much greater. By 3 people working together, you can get much more achieved than 3 people working on their own. And then the last point there is to identify new trends and try and develop a couple of solutions. Now we have a range of stakeholders, law enforcement, Interpol, industry, and some representatives of Microsoft are here. And the world is a small place, and it's only by working together that we'll actually achieve anything. Okay. I just said what the objectives of InHub or the goals of InHub as an organization are. But I want to explain what a hotline is, because what InHub is, it's an association which brings a network of hotlines together. Hotline, I was trying to write this, and I was saying, I need to get this down to one sentence. Okay? And it's a national contact point, because most of the countries only have one. Okay, some have 2, and in some cases 3. They're a national contact point for the public to report content on the internet, including child sexual abuse material. Now, you'll notice the way I say that, child sexual abuse material, rather than the word child pornography. We have a policy which was decided between all of our members to move away from the term child pornography, because in some cultures, and when I say cultures I mean language, when you literally translate it, there isn't an equivalent to child pornography. It's child pornography. Or you perceive, oh my God, what am I going to do? Do you pick up the phone? Do you call the emergency people of the police and say, oh, look what I found? You might start to pick the phone up, but you're going to go, well, what will they do? They won't believe me. They're going to come and take my computer away in Malta, and it turns out that it's hosted in Malta. They can then contact their law enforcement colleagues, and they can tap likely on somebody's door. But in most cases, it's somewhere else. If it's hosted in a different location, and invariably, content is always somewhere else. Okay? What do you do? Okay? It needs to be passed to another hotline, because what will happen is and I don't mean this in a bad way, but in many countries, hotlines just exist. And when I say alliances, okay, everybody thinks of military stuff, you know, because it's kind of a militaristic term. But basically, it's about relationship. Okay, now there's loads of these listed, and a few of the speakers before have mentioned a number of them. But the one thing I want you to gain from this, right? A hotline can only exist with the support of its stakeholders. So, for example, hotlines, some of them come from an NGO background, some are government-led, some are, in effect, law enforcement-led. But I just want to give you a quick snapshot, basically, of where we go. Because I mentioned to you about commercial, and I also mentioned about child pornography websites, which in effect are not commercial, but you click through and you end up with a commercial website. Let's say child sexual abuse material. I don't know if you know the terms, but if you know it's pubescent, prepubescent, and infant. Now, everybody knows what an infant is, okay? From experience, the vast majority of that is between the 4 and the 7 age range. Okay, now, everybody seems to think paedophile are after 10 years, 12-year-olds. No, it's younger. Okay, I'm sorry to say that, as a parent of 4 children, you know, do I sleep at night? I do, but it does kind of scare you. Then there was very little women involvement. Well, I will tell you that in the paedophile world, there's a lot more women involved than it basically said. There was an investigation in Sweden last week, which involved a ring of 9 people, 2 men, 7 women. Basically, it's not proven yet. The criteria, there is a fairly formal process. Okay? But first and foremost, it's to have a reporting mechanism. Which organisation you're coming from, but let's just say it's a government-run organisation. We must have the support of the industry, the internet industry. We must have the support of child welfare, and basically trying to gain access to our net. That's never happened, so it's never been tried. But our process has been set up so that we can validate somebody that they are in the state they are. So by you coming to us and saying, there are staff welfare policies that if you have some hotline staff, we insist that you have systems in place to protect them, because hotline staff deal with very troubling content. They have a lot of, you have to train them properly. Now, probably the list is quite long, to be quite honest with you, but it's not that difficult and it's kept quite straightforward. I don't know how much detail you want at this point, but
my question is, how involved are you? I think, unfortunately, at the end, you tackle the end user. So basically, like you said, somebody receives an email or somebody is aware of what happened. So that's the end product. Unfortunately, sometimes I think we have organizations to tackle the end product, but how involved are you in going to the root of the problem? Who actually takes these pictures? Who actually provide the children? As an organization, what is your involvement with the police investigations, etc., etc.?
Well, in relation to
this is a question really, we've spoken a lot about how the internet can be damaging in the way we know child exploitation, etc., etc. These kind of hotlines, do they only tackle this kind of problem, as in, because internet safety, in my eyes, there's also elements like cyberbullying, you know, other things which can hurt the children, not necessarily, I mean, other items which are psychologically damaging, apart from, obviously, I understand.
I think I could answer that question straight off. I think you might have another question after that, because I can see there's like, I think one question, but I don't know.
morning, I was looking to make sure that it's on. Yeah. I do, I've got 4 kids, yeah. Eldest is 9. Yeah. Youngest twins are 3.